This is the 6th annual Santa Rosa Junior College Petaluma Campus Community Breakfast. This event was made possible through the support of the following silver sponsors: Clover Sonoma, Exchange Bank, Torkelson & Associates, LLP, Certified Public Accountants, Lace House Linen Supply, Pacific Union and Christie's International Real Estate, Mahoney Davison Company Property Management, Pure Luxury Transportation. We also appreciate the generous support of our table sponsors: Rotary Club of Petaluma, Pacenti and Brinker LLP, Certified Public Accountants and Advisors, Trustee Maggie Fishman and Bill Fishman, Caldwell Banker Residential Brokerage, Star Staffing, Rod Moore Attorney at Law, Petaluma Healthcare District, Petaluma Health Center, Arrow Benefits Group, St. Joseph Health, the Reagan Team, American Association of University Women AAUW, Zandex, Fast Signs, First Community Bank, Petaluma Poultry, Enzo Wealth Management, Petaluma Area Chamber of Commerce, Petaluma Orthopedic and Sports Therapy Post Wellness by Design.
Welcome everyone to SRJC Petaluma's 6th annual Building Community Breakfast, presented in collaboration with the Friends of Petaluma Campus Trust in the heart of Petaluma's College District on maybe the only day this month that it's going to rain. I don't know how we did that. I'm Jane Saldana-Talley, proud Vice President here at SRJC Petaluma and your host for today's program. If you've been here before, you know we had to jigger around quite a bit with our welcome reception, but I hope you had fun nevertheless and maybe got a selfie with Roscoe and Fresno. I also hope you tasted this year's amuse-bouche courtesy of Petaluma Proud Bright Bear Bakery. Their cinnamon buns are pretty incredible. Before we go any further, I want to give a heartfelt shout out to today's silver sponsors who raised the bar in support of this year's breakfast and whose generosity we so deeply appreciate. Our thanks this year to Clover Sonoma, I'm going to say Clover Sornetta, Clover Sonoma, Exchange Bank, Lace House Linen Supply Incorporated, who provided the linens for today's event, Mahoney Davison Property Management, Pacific Union Christie's International Real Estate, Pure Luxury Transportation, and Torkelson Associates LLP, Certified Public Accountants. Please join me in giving all of them a big hand. It's also my pleasure to acknowledge our elected officials who are with us this morning. As I call your name, please stand and give a wave, and then everyone, please hold your applause until I've introduced them all. So with us this morning is former U.S. Representative for California's 6th Congressional District from 1993 to 2013, Lynn Woolsey. Yeah. Here for State Senator Bill Dodd from California's 3rd Senate District, caseworker Logan Pitts. And here in person, Sonoma County Board of Supervisor from the 2nd Supervisorial District, David Rabbitt. Petaluma City Council Mayor David Glass and council members Chris Albertson, Dave King, Kathleen Miller, Gabe Kearney. Petaluma City Schools Board of Education Trustee Frank Lynch, Petaluma Healthcare District Board President Elise Hempel and members Becky Mundy and Joe Stern. Santa Rosa Junior College Board of Trustees, Board President Maggie Fishman, our own, Vice President Jordan Burns, Clerk Dorothy Battenfeld, and former members of the Board of Trustees, Onita Pellegrini and Kathleen Doyle. Also with us this morning is SRJC found. Well, let's give all our elected officials a hand. Here with us this morning from the Foundation, SRJC Foundation Board of Directors is our members Kurt Groniga, Jeff Bricker, Shirley Ward, Kathleen Doyle, And also with us is Kate McClintock, who's the Executive Director for the SRJC Foundation. And then Friends of Petaluma Campus Trust, and my co-host for this event is Chair Tony Parrish, Chair-elect Mike Harris, immediate past Chair Doris Tolks, Vice Chair-elect Lori Enox Torkelson, Richard Albertoni, Edie Cheetah, John Dato, Ramona Faith, Marcia Harris, Noah Jacobson, Christina Kalk, Carol Ann Labarle, Carrie Mahoney Davison, Rod Moore, Warren Payne, and faculty representative Molly Matheson. Also with us today is former chair and retired member of the Friends of Petaluma Campus Trust, Ron Malnati. Let's give them all a hand. Thank you all for your service to our community and your support of SRJC Petaluma. It looks like we've also got with us today from the Petaluma Schools District Board of Education, Mike Badley. Thanks for being here today, Mike. Want to make sure. Now I'd like to introduce a guest, Jean Burnett, who served as trustee of the June L. Silva Trust. Thanks to Ms. Silva's selfish generosity in 2010, the college received a $250,000 bequest to establish the June L. Silva Scholarship Fund for Petaluma students attending SRJC. Ms. Silva exemplifies the generosity of so many donors throughout the years who have gifted in support of the college, this campus, and our students over 20 plus years. On behalf of SRJC and the countless Petaluma students who will benefit from this gift, please join me in acknowledging and thanking Jean Burnett and the June L. Silva Trust. Lastly, this party wouldn't be properly started until I get a very special lady into the room with us. Connie Mahoney's been with us for every breakfast since the beginning, and over the years became a true friend and example to me and many others of what one single-minded and devoted person can do to build her community. I keep this picture of Connie at last year's breakfast in my office, where I can see her smiling face each day as inspiration and comfort. Please join me in bringing all those we've lost or who were unable to join us today into this moment of joy and community. Now, since it took us a little while to get through the line, I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into the breakfast. So at this time, what I'd like to do is to introduce one of SRJC's students, Stacy Rutz, to the podium for the singing of our national anthem. And while she comes up, I'm going to introduce her. Stacy Rutz soprano is a voice and jazz studies major at Santa Rosa Junior College. She began studying voice at the age of 8 at the San Francisco Girls Chorus, where she had the opportunity to sing with the San Francisco Symphony and San Francisco Opera over several years. Since high school, Stacy has participated in and directed various theater productions, choral and jazz ensembles, and a cappella groups at UC Berkeley and SRJC and in the San Francisco Bay Area. Most notably, she performed as a soloist with the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra under Martin Alsop in Richard Einhorn's Voices of Light oratorio while attending UC Berkeley in 2012, and again for the Turner Classic Movies Classic Film Festival in 2016. After studying anthropology at UC Berkeley, Stacy returned in spring 2012 to SRJC to study jazz and voice full-time. More recently, Stacy has been on stage in SRJC Theater Arts productions of Les Miserables, Phantom of the Opera as Carlotta, and Mary Poppins as Birdwoman, as well as offstage as assistant vocal director for Spamalot and vocal director for American Night, The Ballad of Juan Jose, and Emotional Creature. She's also founded and directs the SRJC vocal a cappella ensemble, the Oak Tones. Stacy currently studies voice with Jody Beneke and has plans to transfer to pursue a Bachelor of Music in Vocal Performance. Please stand for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the fair and the home of the brave?
Thank you so much, Stacy. We have a great vocal program at SRJC, and I'm always so grateful I don't have to sing that song. Dr. Frank Chong is the 5th president of Santa Rosa Junior College in nearly 100 years. The first time he spoke at this gathering was only months into his now 6-year tenure. Each year, I've given him a fairly lengthy introduction and then had to give him the hook so we could move on with the program. Timing. So this year, I'm a wiser woman and will simply cede my time to SRJC's cheerleader-in-chief, Frank Chong.
Thank you, Jane. Good morning, everybody. So when it rains, it pours. Ask LeBron James. Poor guy. Well, he's not poor, but... Well, it's great to be here again, and this is, as you know, it's graduation season, it's commencement season. We had our commencement last week, and it went great. I did my president's address last week again at the Santa Rosa campus, and the finale for me is the Petaluma breakfast. So every year it's great to be here, and I was thinking back about what's gone on in the past year, and there's a couple moments I just wanted to share with you. And one is the Butter and Eggs Day parade. Now in my 5th year here, the opportunity to be part of that parade and to have the JC really be part of the community, I think is emblematic of our commitment and our partnership with all of you in this room. And I want to say that we had a great time in the parade, and that's really, to me, symbolizes what Petaluma is about. It's kind of goofy, it's kind of eccentric. When my friends from San Francisco say, well, what's the parade like? Is it like the Chinese New Year's parade in San Francisco? And I said, well, yeah, except I'm the only Chinese person in it, It's a little different, but you got to see it. It's very genuinely Petaluma, right? The other event I went to that is I'm starting to get to know some of the folks in the community, getting out on the golf course with them. And I got to play golf with Father Lombardi the other day, and he walks on the course. He doesn't warm up. He shows up a little late, and he had special dispensation. And, he hits a ball in a par 5, and he's putting for I think he was putting for, Tom, was he putting for par or birdie? Anyways, it was with Tom Isaac from Corsica, longtime Petaluman. And he kind of misses the putt, and he makes par, and he takes our money. And I said, Father Lombardi, I said, it's really not fair when it's 3 against 2. He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, you got him and you got your partner. And I said, haven't you heard that term that great golfers make bad priests? And he laughed and he said, that's why I'm retiring in August. I really want to work on my game. But Father Lombardi, as we all know, is a special treasure in Petaluma, and just a chance to spend time with him and hear his stories and what a learned man he is really a blessing, and that's what makes Petaluma special. And I would say that as we talk about the college today, as I said in my previous address, is we're embracing challenges. We have some challenges ahead. Many of you may have read the Time magazine article that Carol Labari was talking to me about this morning, about the vital role that community colleges play in communities throughout the country. And I know that pretty well because I helped oversee 1,300 community colleges throughout the country when I did my stint in Washington, D.C. However, we are finding ourselves in a funding crunch. Unemployment in this county is at an all-time low, which is great for all your businesses, yet you have your challenges of finding trained employees. And we're having our challenges in terms of student enrollment. When the economy goes north, our enrollment goes south. And it only makes sense because people are working. And we have still at the same amount of heads or bodies coming to the JC, approximately 27,000, but they're all taking less units because they're working full-time. So my plea to all of you today is talk to your nephews, talk to your children, your grandchildren about the JC, about the Petaluma campus, the Santa Rosa campus, Schoen Farm, our public safety center, and let them know that the JC is a great option for them to select. And I'll just talk about two students. One is Justin Brule from Casa Grande. He was one of the pitchers for the JC baseball team that came within one game of repeating as state champs this year. Justin will be going on to UC Berkeley, my alma mater, so we're very proud of a Casa Grande grad. And some of you might have read about Vanessa Nava, who went to Tech High in Roanoke Park. A wonderful young lady who didn't find her way out of high school, didn't get into the college of her choice at UC Irvine. She was rejected, came to the JC, and now she was just recently awarded the Jack Kent Cooke Scholarship Award, which is one of the most prestigious, most competitive scholarships in the nation. Only 55 community college students out of 3,000 applicants will receive it. So as I said in the paper when the PD reporter asked me, what does this mean? I said, well, it's kind of like bragging about Nobel Prize winners at UC Berkeley, and I'm going to brag about Vanessa because she's going to be a doctor. She's either going to go to Cornell or Berkeley. What a great dilemma to have, right? So I think those two stories are really emblematic, again, of the things that we do at the JC, how we change lives. And all of you in the audience have, your presence here today really exemplifies your commitment to the JC and to higher education, and the importance of higher education to this community. And this community is continuing to grow in such a dramatically beautiful way in terms of the business sector, the governmental sector, and all the different sectors working together. And we're just a small part of it, but I'd like to think we're a small but important part of it. And what we do here at the Petaluma campus is extraordinary. And when you see Michael Traina and Ali Afshar, who are part of our team in terms of trying to promote cinema. And for those of you who think about cinema, you just think, oh, something I watch on Netflix, or it's something I do when I go to the movies downtown. It's actually an industry that generates a lot of jobs. And I found that out yesterday at the Santa Rosa campus. They're making a film up there. And of course, I was the last one to know. There are all these cameras, trucks out there. And I said, what is this, And I called up the, facilities people, and they said, well, Jon Voight's on campus. And I said, wow, that's pretty cool. And we're getting how much money, for rental of facilities, Oh, it's Ali's company, and he'll talk about it, see? So Ali must have a lot more juice than I do, because he was able to get a good rate. I would have charged you more, Ali. But, so I would just like to say that, yeah, we're going to have some financial challenges, but this college is going to be celebrating its 100th year anniversary next year, and it's amazing, and it's going to be a great celebration. We're going to have celebrations down here in Petaluma as well as throughout the community, and I think that's a significant milestone, and it's something that I'm very proud of, to be proud of and be part of in terms of what this college has meant to the community, and I see that every day when I go out there and I meet employers who talk to me about their needs, and then I find out their employees, whether it's at the banks or whether it's at the hospitals or it's in public safety. I've been going to these graduations for nursing, for public safety, And they're the future of this county, and they're the future of this state and of this country. So I think it's really, really vital that Santa Rosa, Petaluma, Schoen Farm, the Public Safety Center, our Southwest Center, continue to grow and thrive because we have to invest in education. And the last thing I'll leave you with is a fact that I asked my researcher, Casey Graney, who's our wonderful researcher. I said, Casey, I might have mentioned this to you before, but again, what's the percentage of people who are serving time in state and federal penitentiaries? What percentage have at least an AA degree? And the answer was 2%. And some of you may have read in the latest study that's been done in California, it costs $75,000 a year now per inmate in California state prisons. The cost to educate a California community college student from the state is $6,000. So you do the math, you do the math. So your presence again here is really appreciated, and you have a great program ahead. I don't want Jane to yank me off the stage, so I'll just say, go Warriors!
Thank you, Dr. Chong. I love being his lieutenant. All right, so it's been a very good year here at SRJC Petaluma. This year, in collaboration with the Design Guild, led by Christine Walker and her team, and with input from students, faculty, staff, and our community, including many of you in this audience, we completed the first 2 phases of SRJC Petaluma's brand development effort intended to grow enrollment and increase awareness and community engagement. We identified a number of consistent themes and then selected an overarching brand truth we all agree communicates the essence of this campus, what we're noted for, and what we do best. Learn Your Way has emerged as an early expression of our core message. We intend to use it as the basis for developing programs and services to tell our story in ways that connect with the hearts and minds of students and our community. At the end of May, we graduated 9 more students from the Gateway to College Academy, bringing the total who've received high school diplomas since the program began to 50. Thanks to Director Vanessa Luna Shannon and her team, 75 more are in that very supportive pipeline to success. The Literacy Works Center has provided financial and personal support to nearly 300 adult and English language learners since its inception 3 years ago. To support this work, Literacy Works has hosted 2 fundraising lectures on campus, the first last fall with Peter Coyote, a second this coming Sunday with counterterrorism expert Brian Fishman, and another to be announced later this fall with KQED's Michael Krasny. We hosted the first annual We the Future Social Justice Conference in collaboration with the North Bay Organizing Project, a beautifully intergenerational and diverse gathering of hundreds of SRJC students, high school students, community members, and longtime activists who came together to learn and share. SRJC Petaluma's 2nd annual LumaFest Community Open House and Education Fair drew over 3,000 attendees to the campus last October. And so I encourage all of you, if you, as you're on your way out, to take a Fresno fan with you as a reminder that this year's LumaFest is Saturday, October 14th. We hosted 2 U.S. congressmen on campus this year. Jared Huffman held a town hall meeting on the environment in January, and Congressman Mike Thompson made his first visit to SRJC Petaluma, stopping in to share his personal story with our Gateway to College students. We also hosted middle schoolers from places like Petaluma Junior High and Adele Harrison Middle School who were toured like a congressman by faculty and student leaders, helping all those future Bear Cubs feel at home on our campus. And we have more student clubs this year, 15 at last count, than ever in our history. We launched the National Society of Leadership and Success, the nation's largest leadership honor society, and to date, over 250 students have participated, with more signing on each semester. Our House Intercultural Center kicked into high gear with the hiring of Dr. Amanda Morrison in August and the grand opening in September. The ICC is the cornerstone of student engagement programs and a safe space to hang out and feel welcome for veterans, LGBTQ students, and anyone looking for a place to connect with our diverse student community. It's also the location for SRJC Petaluma's Dream Center. and nearly 300 high school students participated in our Jumpstart program by completing SRJC and Doyle Scholarship applications without leaving their high school campus. The heart of any great institution of higher learning is its faculty, and SRJC Petaluma is blessed with SRJC's finest. I should know, I've now hired almost 3/4 of them. Beginning in fall 2017, this campus will be home to 44 full-time faculty and residents. We've been fortunate this year to hire 3 new full-time faculty, 1 in English, another in sociology, which is a first for that discipline, and Petaluma's own Hannah Winkler in mathematics. Like Hannah, many SRJC Petaluma faculty live in this community and are engaged in and volunteer in support of Petaluma nonprofits, community causes, and projects that make this a great place to live. This year, 5 of our faculty were selected by their peers to serve as department chairs overseeing college-wide academic programs, something that was hard to imagine when I arrived here in 2007. Next year, that will include Mike Traina, today's faculty speaker. Some of their accomplishments this year include Dr. David Kratzman, who you heard a few years ago, and Michelle Hughes-Markovics. They're in Sicily and the lost coast of Italy right now, making that their classroom for the summer. Michelle specializes in forensic anthropology, and when they return, she and David will be constructing an archaeological dig site right here on the campus. And David has a vision of turning this campus into a biodiversity index zone. Dr. Aaron Sullivan, AC Pinella, and Derek Padilla launched the SRJC Petaluma Student Research Conference this year, an experience that was wildly popular with students who were thrilled to present poster sessions of their original research and literature reviews to our community. Michael McKeever, computer studies and Cisco network instructor, is developing a cybersecurity program for SRJC Petaluma, one of only a handful in the state. And this summer, he's teaching our first Cyber Patriots camp for high school students, featuring 5 days of introductory information security training using training modules developed by the National Youth Cyber Education Cyber Patriot program. If you know of a budding Cyber Patriot, there's still space in that program. Grab a flyer on your way out. Communications AC Pinella, Communications faculty AC Pinella in his intercultural communications class collaborated with the Petaluma Museum this year. His students held a pop-up museum event entitled Hidden Histories Exploring Race and Migration in Sonoma County. It was one of the largest attended events at the museum this year, and so successful they've been asked back for this next spring. And lastly, SRJC Petaluma faculty Joe Fasler and Michael Ergubian were guest lecturers at Aquas Cafe in Petaluma. Next year, we're going to be offering 2 more certificate programs, yoga instructor training and digital media audio for those interested in careers in the audio recording industry, while 3 new majors will be added to our offerings: film studies, which is a pretty relevant to today's program, social justice, and social work, all of them for transfer, and forensic anthropology will be offered for the first time at SRJC. So check out the infographics. If you want more information, there's an infographics sheet on your tables for each of you, and you can take a look at some other facts about the campus. On the facilities front this year, we updated our Student Center atrium thanks to the Friends of Petaluma Campus Trust. So students have a relaxing place on campus with a coffee house vibe to sit down, plug in, and recharge themselves and their phones and electronic devices. Thanks to the voters of Sonoma County who approved the $410 million Measure H bond, SRJC Petaluma will receive $15.7 million for construction and modernization to include new science laboratories with prep and storage space and a reconfiguration of student services and student engagement space. This past November, the SRJC Board of Trustees approved Petaluma to be included as one of 4 early start projects. And if all goes as planned, these exciting projects should be well underway by this time next year, with an anticipated completion sometime in spring 2019. A couple of other projects supported by Measure H include renovating one of our classrooms to provide a new state-of-the-art vet tech lab, complete with surgical suite and dental exam area for animals only, I'm told, to support relocating Dr. Dan Femini's veterinary tech program from Santa Rosa to Petaluma. And we're transforming the portion of the Mahoney Library into a dynamic collaborative learning commons. The project will revitalize space that is currently occupied by a seldom used reference collection to create a collaborative research zone. And on the second floor, the periodicals desk area will be enclosed to create a quiet studies study room for students. Designs for this project were finalized in May, and construction begins in June, right now. Naming opportunities for these new spaces are available for those of you who are so inclined, and you can contact the SRJC Foundation for more information. So I've mentioned before that the SRJC Petaluma campus is larger in enrollment than over 20 of California's standalone community colleges. But what I've not yet shared is just how much of a value SRJC Petaluma is, not just for this community, but for the college as a whole. When last we checked, the SRJC Petaluma's budget comprised 10% of the entire district general fund, and at the same time we served 21% of the total district duplicated headcount. Despite all of that value, SRJC, as Dr. Chong noted earlier, is engaged in the challenge of reducing its budget to better align with declining enrollments. For SRJC Petaluma, that will mean a more than $500,000 permanent reduction to our already very lean operating budget in 2017-18. And while I believe we have the collective will to make those cuts, it will take all of the creativity we have to do so in ways that minimize the effects on students, innovation, and our outstanding programs and services. Years ago, a politician friend of mine gave me a quote I found very useful over the years, and it goes like this: "When budgets get tight, people's table manners change." And that, in a nutshell, is where we currently are, trying to retain the best that is SRJC without sacrificing the excellence we're known for, and doing so with an open heart and mind. As some of you know, and now you can show that other slide, my post-Butter and Egg Days parade, Jane versus Petaluma Pothole Derby, did not end favorably for me. Don't worry, David, the city of Petaluma is safe. After a visit to PV Hospital's ER, a 3-hour surgery several weeks later, and a humbling period of what one friend called disability awareness sensitivity training, I am now the bionic woman. My grandchildren love that, and I'm well on my way to recovery. But living as a one-handed woman in a two-handed world made me appreciate my dominant right hand in many new ways. Moreover, it's given me a personal reference point that's gone along with our current national conversation, and to a very large degree, the changing of people's table manners as SRJC divides up Measure H funds and works to tighten our financial belt. And that is that sometimes we don't always appreciate what we've got till it's gone. I've invested nearly a decade of my professional life in this campus. During that time, and my predecessor, Doug Garrison, who's here with us today, can attest, there's never been more than a month go by that I've not heard someone posit that the solution to one challenge or another in the district could be solved by reducing funding or services or programs or courses or staffing or something here in Petaluma. Am I not right, Doug? Yeah. The most extreme version of that theme is to shut the campus down in its entirety. But over the years, I've learned not to react or overreact, at least not very much, but rather to respect and never forget that that sentiment is out there. I remain vigilant and aware that we need to stay relevant to you, to our students, to our community, and to the district. I never assume that this dream become reality as a sure thing, and I ask today that you join me on that watch. You see, I'm seen as a bit biased, which I am, and just doing my job, which is true, but I can't hold it without you. I know you're here this morning because you're genuinely interested and you care about this campus. And today I'd like to ask you for something more. I'm here to ask for what every one of you can readily contribute: your voice and your advocacy. I ask that you stand beside me, this faculty, staff, administrators, and students as an ally in support of SRJC Petaluma, and whenever possible to tell your neighbors and your employees and your families about this amazing place. We're fortunate for the first time in 100 years to have SRJC's president live in Petaluma. So stop Dr. Chong at Petaluma Market. When you see him on the golf course, when he's out getting his newspaper, walking down the boulevard, stop him and tell your stories about why this place matters. We have an outstanding Petaluma area trustee in Maggie Fishman. Thank you, Maggie, for your service to SRJC and Petaluma. Tell her and other members of the SRJC Board of Trustees why this place is vital to you, your family, your business, and your community. Tell your stories about why it matters to have a college in your community, why it matters to have a college district in Petaluma, why it matters to have access to one of the best community colleges in the state and indeed the nation right here in Petaluma. Tell your stories and never let it be said that this community let something as valuable as SRJC Petaluma be anything other than what it was always meant to be, Petaluma's community college. I'd like to close this morning with another picture of SRJC Petaluma student Kyle Westcott. Kyle was the ER tech at PV Hospital that splinted up this vice president's broken wrist before sending me home. When I told him I worked at SRJC, he got a huge smile on his face and said, "I'm the 31-year-old wrestler." Kyle's got a really great story about coming all the way from Delaware to Sonoma County. He's enrolled in SRJC's vocational nursing program and takes classes at SRJC Petaluma because of the proximity to his work. He's also a wrestler and aims to win an All-American wrestling title this year, having set his hopes on participating in the 2020 Olympics. Kyle and all the students like Kyle rely on SRJC and SRJC Petaluma as the place they can learn their way, even when their dreams are as audacious as his. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for your continued support of our students and your trust in me and the work we do here at SRJC Petaluma to serve this great community. Today's featured speaker came to us by way of Mike Harris, who told the tale of this very talented and gracious filmmaker who grew up in Sonoma County and returned now and then to film or premiere his latest production. Mike, it seemed, had had minor roles in some of his films, and while we wondered a bit about his casting acumen, one conversation with our featured speaker convinced me he was a perfect fit for today's program. I learned quite by accident yesterday, as Dr. Chong did, that his production company has been filming part 2 of his movie, The Wizard, at the Santa Rosa campus all this week, and I hope he's going to tell us more about that. Ali Afshar grew up in the green Sonoma Mountains of Petaluma. His passion for speed and entertaining was evident at a very early age, and his family would often find him racing motorcycles and horses on his 200-acre ranch. The son of Eskandar Afshar and Lila Kasra Afshar, Ali is the youngest of 3 brothers. His father is an international agriculture businessman, and his mother was a world-renowned Persian poet and lyricist before her passing in 1989. Ali grew up competing in breakdancing and bicycle freestyle in events all over Northern California. And once he acquired his driver's license, Ali won his first high school challenge for drag racing at Sears Point International Raceway, representing Casa Grande High School. Through high school, Ali could be found almost every week at Sears Point Raceway, competing in the Wednesday night drags, racing his classic 1967 Chevrolet Camaro. And if he wasn't racing, he was in wrestling practice, honing his skills. There's a theme here. Ali was an outstanding wrestler and set numerous school records. His diligence paid off and made him California State finalist in 1991. After high school, Ali turned his attention to his dream of acting and relocated to Los Angeles. While fulfilling his parents' wish, which I think is every parent's wish, that he study medicine at California State University Northridge, he began to pursue a career in acting for movies and television. Ali learned from some of the most talented teachers in LA and started auditioning. He quickly landed his first job as a skateboarder in a Pepsi Mirinda soft drink commercial and was off and running in the acting world. Ali paired his acting and racing income to pay for his tuition for college, pretty smart, which ultimately led to his graduation from California State University Northridge with a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Biology. However, his true desires still soon led him away from medicine and toward Hollywood. The rest of his story is best told by Ali himself. I'm told he drove most of the night to be here today, so let's not delay him any longer. Please join me in welcoming movie producer, actor, writer, and auto racer Ali Afshar.
I don't know where you found that bio, but I gotta look at that. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. When Mike asked me to come and speak today. I didn't know what to expect, but I've just learned so much in the last 20 minutes, and this is such a great honor to be here, so I appreciate you guys having me. I do apologize if my words get a little garbled up here. I did, as Jane said, I was at a premiere of one of our movies on Sunset Boulevard with Jane Seymour called Pray for Rain last night until midnight. And then I got in the car, and my buddy here, Brian, and I drove straight through to get here right now. So sorry if I'm, thank you. So I'm going to jump in. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and why I love Petaluma and this area so much. My family immigrated to Petaluma in 1979, right in the middle of the Iran Revolution. I was born in Tehran, Iran. We came to America when the Iran-Iraq War started, and unfortunately, the Iran hostage crisis. Probably not the best thing to come to Petaluma in the middle of being an Iranian hostage. If anybody's seen my movie, American Wrestler, The Wizard, that just came out last month, starring Oscar winner Jon Voight, it's basically my life coming to America. And after a little bit of stumbling blocks with, anybody new coming to a new place, a new town, with a little bit of difficulty, but the town, the city, the schools embraced me in a way that forever this is going to be my adopted home. I grew up on a 200-acre ranch off of Old Adobe Road. We subdivided it, and the city asked to have us name the street, so we named it after my late mom, Leela Lane. It's right across from Old Adobe Elementary, where I graduated and I was the president of. I went to Kenilworth Junior High, which is now a Target. So I walk through the aisles and I wonder which aisle was like, history, and with Mr. Lamb and Mr. Stanley, and then I went to Casa Grande High School. My mother was severely ill with cancer my whole life. In the middle of my freshman year, we actually had to leave Casa to go to Los Angeles to have some special treatment for my mom. So we went to LA to UCLA. We left to Los Angeles to UCLA to have my mom treated. Unfortunately, my mom passed away that same year, and my dad had to go back to Iran because he was out of the country for 12 years, and they had confiscated all our land and all our homes in Iran. So I was stuck here at 15 years old, and my dad said, you have two choices. Stay in LA with your 20-year-old, wannabe rock star brother, or go back to Petaluma. I said, I'm going back to Petaluma. I came back here and I lived with my friends, two different friends, and their parents graciously took me in for which was supposed to be 6 months. My dad got stuck in Iran for 6 years. So I came here and I stayed with the Stratos family and the Giambastiani family. I came back to Casa after a year, and all I did was, as Jane said, I raced and I wrestled. And if you see a lot of my movies, they're kind of all about those two things. So I want to say, right after I graduated, I was literally waiting for my father to come, but he never made it. They actually held him in Iran. They wouldn't let him out of the airport. So I knew I had to go to school, and I was so fortunate that there was a campus local. At that time, SRJC was in the fairgrounds. I don't know if, I'm sure a lot of you remember that. So I started the first few semesters going there as best as I could. I had a partial scholarship to go to Oklahoma and wrestle for them, but it was just partial, and I was pretty much homeless at that time. So there's no way I was going to be able to go to Oklahoma and do that. So I was really happy to go there, and I wrestled for Coach Fitzpatrick. Jake Fitzpatrick, which, if you guys see the movie I mentioned, I put him as the star referee at the end in the big final match, and we got him his SAG card, his Screen Actors Guild card, so he's an official actor now. So, and as Jane said, we are shooting the sequel of that movie today. What time do I have to be there? I have to be there at 10 o'clock. So I have to go straight from here to there. So I don't sleep. That's the motto, sir. So I went to the JC, and then I moved to LA. As Jane said, I wanted to pursue acting, and I loved cars. So I raced and acted for about 6-7 years. My racing kind of took off in 2001 when Subaru of America approached me, and I became a factory-sponsored racer, and I owned the race team. So I stopped acting, and I went racing for about 8 years. We won 18 NHRA championships, 2 world championships, and dozens of world records, and I actually have my own line of Subarus. If you can go to Hansel Subaru and order one of my Subarus if you wanted to. But we actually might put a Subaru dealer in Petaluma. We're thinking about that. But so I took a time off, and then I wanted to come back into acting in about 2008, 2009. I came back, but I had knew some people that were in the movie business. So they said, hey, why don't you start producing? So I took my first experience of Sears Point Raceway, and I made my first little movie called Born to Race. It did dynamite. We did a sequel. The sequel got Mr. Forrest Lucas, the self-made billionaire of Lucas Oil. If you guys have seen the Super Bowl a few years ago was at a stadium where the Colts play. Very, very successful all-American guy, paired up with us to make hopeful and inspirational movies. After that, I thought, you know what, we're gonna do a slate of movies all about the American dream. I lived it, he lived it. We both came from nothing, and I'm still trying to make it. He made it. So we did a little movie called The Dog Lover, and I said, you know what, we're gonna shoot this in Petaluma. We came up here, Mike Harris, I don't know where you are, but thank you. He introduced us to more than half the locations, and was great helping us navigate through the permits and all the city bureaucracy we had to do. And the people of this town, whether it's your homes, your cars, your people showing up when we need background, or the businesses, have been so gracious to us, and surrounding areas, that I said to Mr. Lucas, you know what, let's stay up here. So in 2 years, I've done 6 movies up here. We've spent over $25 million now, and we're doing 4 more this year, including American Wrestler, The Fighter, the sequel. We've been able to do some really, really cool things, and we've brought stars like Sharon Stone and Jon Voight and Jane Seymour from last night's Pray for Rain, which is it's an agriculture-based movie. Ludacris, if you guys, I don't think a lot of people here might know who Ludacris is. You know Ludacris? All right. So the cool thing is we've also been able to bring a lot of cool A-list talent here, and the media loves it. So we get sometimes international press because of the talent we bring. And I say, you know what? I want to put as much money as we can back into this town. We're renting 7 homes right now. We've spent over $2 million in just hotels. But when we get a crew of 80 people come up per movie, they go to food, they get entertained, they buy your services, they use your services, they buy your products. So I say, guys, try to keep it here. I think between McNears and whatnot, we probably, their alcohol tab has, had gone through the roof with us. We bring Tommy Flanagan from Sons of Anarchy, the actor. Do you guys know who Tommy Flanagan is? He's got the scars like this. He's very notable. I think he by himself has doubled, McNear's bar tab. But my whole thing about bringing the movies back here is not only just the people, the geography. We can shoot in Tamales. We go to, whether you have Jane Seymour at Larry Peters Creamery, or you have Ludacris going into my Uncle Rich, I call him my Uncle Rich, Uncle Rich's Body Shop on Petaluma Boulevard, or we go to the JC, Coach Fitzpatrick. Not only are we going to be there again today, we actually put the real wrestlers in the movies. And Norma Gutierrez, she was in one of our other movies, so I love the fact that everybody here is so supportive of it. And one cool note that I want to share with you guys is, I'm driving back from Tamales High School with Jon Voight in the car. You guys all know Jon Voight, right? Okay. So I'm driving back, and he goes, do you know that there's an executive at Warner Brothers that's from Petaluma? His name is Kevin. I don't know exactly what position, but let's call him. So we call him, and he says, hey, there's this kid. He calls me a kid. There's this kid, Allie, doing a lot of movies in your hometown. You should totally meet with him and just get to know him. And we're like, okay. He's like, yeah, we'll set it up. 3 months go by and the meeting gets set up, and I actually look up this person, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but he is the president and CEO of the biggest studio in the world, Warner Brothers. So I'm like, and you're born and raised in Petaluma? And he's like, yes, I am. And his parents owned Empire Eggs. I believe he's a 1981 or 82 graduate of Petaluma High School. I'm a Casa kid, so I kind of looked at him funny. But he was so cool, and it was so serendipitous because I met with him, and now all our movies are Warner Brothers movies. Our offices are on the lot in Warner Brothers, and every time I see him walking by, he's always on the phone, so he's always like, go Petaluma, and he just runs by. He doesn't even talk to me anymore. But it's so cool to see him there, and by chance, Paramount, Sony, Fox, Universal, it just happens to be he's from Warner Brothers, and that's where we ended up being too. So I feel like there's something bigger than me and my company and my crew that's allowing us to come here. We actually hope to open a studio here. Lucas did it. The other Lucas, George Lucas did it. We're Forrest Lucas. Coppola has done it in the past. So we really want to do big and great things and bring a lot of attention to this town. Oh, Jane's getting up. I got to go. Thank you again so much for everybody for having me here. And I'll be available for questions in a few minutes outside. Thank you, guys.
is wonderful. Thank you so much. I have a reputation. Today's faculty speaker was in the very first cohort of faculty that I hired for this campus. And of the 6 who began teaching here in Petaluma in the fall of 2008, only 3, Michelle Hughes-Markovics in anthropology, Molly Matheson in library learning resources, and Mike Traina in communication studies, film media, remain. Each in their own way proved to be game changers for this campus, but it was Mike Traina who gave us all a new view of what SRJC Petaluma could be in this community. We'd advertised for a retiree replacement to teach film media classes. Mike was a full-time tenured faculty at Antelope Valley College who'd been hosting the Antelope Valley Film Festival for 13 years. There was no reason for him to change. I still recall interviewing Mike. He was like no other candidate in the pool. He said he was looking for a more pedestrian community, and by that he didn't mean boring. He came to us, he was looking for a place where you could walk around, where you could actually be in the community. And he came to us with this very big and very audacious idea to not simply teach an array of film media classes as we thought we needed, but rather to embed the class in a fall-spring cinema series experience. He talked about inviting our community for a nominal fee to sit alongside his students every Wednesday night and participate in a pre-screening lecture, watch that evening's movie, and then all of them join in a post-screening discussion, often with directors, actors, and others connected to the film. Mike told us he also planned to bring his film festival to Petaluma. He'd already checked out the city and had a good idea that the Mystic Theater would be the place and that Petaluma hotels and restaurants and the community vibe was the location he was looking for. He also knew we were in the midst of a construction project that would create the cinematic wonder that is today's Carol L. Ellis Auditorium, and he thought he might have a few ideas to contribute in designing the facility. We could not get him hired fast enough. Now, nearly 10 years later, the annual Film Fest Petaluma Shorts Festival and Petaluma Cinema Series has put Petaluma and SRJC Petaluma on the Film Festival map, and then Allie has put us on the Warner Brothers map. The annual Sonoma County Student Film Festival has given local high school and college filmmakers a venue in which to showcase their work, and annual winners are premiered at the Film Fest. No other college in the North Bay offers a program like the one offered right here on this campus. Mike's annual film festival is an economic boon to this city, a rare opportunity for its citizens, and a venue for fledgling filmmakers to rub elbows with an international film community. His cinema series has never shown, not that I know of, the same movie twice in 10 years. And his talent for fundraising keeps it all as vibrant and alive as the artwork on his biannual posters, some of which you see displayed here today. In recent years, Mike has been joined by Brian Antonson, film production faculty in communication studies. Together, they have nurtured and grown these programs into a powerhouse of opportunity, unlike anything we could have ever imagined back when all we thought we were hiring was a retiree replacement in film media. Next year, thanks to their joint efforts, a film studies major will be offered at SRJC. It gives me great pleasure this morning to introduce my colleague, the very talented and very persuasive Mike Traina.
Thank you, Jane, for that generous introduction. Thanks for being here today, and thanks for taking a look at the film and media program. So I'm going to do my best over the next 8 minutes or so to maybe give you a brief overview of film and media studies at SRJC Petaluma, as well as the Petaluma Film Alliance that Jane gave you a little taste of just a moment ago. So we offer about a dozen courses in the media curriculum. Those range from film aesthetics to film history, film production, as well as screenwriting. Here you can see my colleague, Brian Antonson, in our television studio in Santa Rosa. Jane gave a brief introduction to him. We have 2 tracks for students. We offer a vocational certificate in film, which builds students' digital media skills, as well as Jane mentioned, a new major, an AA in film studies for transfer. We have about 650 students who enroll in media classes each semester here. Maybe about 50 of those are actually seeking completion of a certificate or hoping to transfer in the film arts. So the way I'd like to organize basically my comments today is around the Petaluma Film Alliance. It's a program of the Santa Rosa Junior College Foundation. It essentially operates like a nonprofit cinematheque. A cinematheque was conceived in France essentially as a film community, a place where people could gather together, share ideas about movies, about their meaning, about their construction, about the impact they have on the culture. The Film Alliance, I'm proud to say, was an initiative that was launched by Leadership Petaluma. I'm a graduate of the class of 2009. I'm sure a lot of people in the room have probably gone through that program. Yeah, a shout out to Anita Pellegrini, who I know is here. We kicked it off in August of 2009 to a nearly full house, or a full house at the Mystic Theater. About 450 people showed up to experience an evening of short cinema, followed by a conversation with the filmmakers. And you'll see that that really is the trademark of what we're doing in almost all the arms of the Film Alliance. I thought it was particularly apropos for me to be speaking here today because even on our website, we define ourselves as a partnership between Santa Rosa Junior College, local businesses, and private individuals dedicated to building community through the art of film. And so I'm going to emphasize this community building aspect as I talk about the three arms of our program, beginning with the Cinema Series. As Jane mentioned, virtually every Wednesday night from September to May, we showcase a series of classic, foreign, and independent films in the Carol L. Ellis Auditorium. The audience is a mix of students in Media 10, which is the foundation course for both the certificate program and the AA transfer major, alongside members of the college and Sonoma County communities. We've hosted around 250 screenings over the past 9 years, representing more than 100 years of film history. In the slide, you see actually a frame from Charlie Chaplin's The Immigrant in 1917, 100 years ago, with live musical accompaniment by one of our regular players, Rick Friend. We were happy last December to host one of the world's premier silent film ensembles, the Alloy Orchestra, in the Ellis Auditorium, who were playing for a 1925 film starring Lon Chaney for He Who Gets Slapped. The Cinema Series has showcased around films from around 33 different countries, including a number of filmmakers in conversation, a sizable number of those being women and minority filmmakers. We see animator, a prominent LA animator, Kirsten Lepore, holding the microphone there, and to her right is Daniel Kwan, who is the director of Swiss Army Man, a film that came out last summer starring Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe. Another one of our guests this spring in March is Yared Zelicki. Yared is the director of an Ethiopian film, Lamb. It was actually the first film out of Ethiopia ever to be in competition at the prestigious Cannes Film Festival. And even more recently, we hosted Ryan Baxter with his film Green is Gold, which won the Audience Award last year at the Los Angeles Film Festival. And I'm going to mention Ryan a little bit more later. The purpose of the Cinema Series and Media 10 is not just to teach students the language of cinema, but also visual literacy skills that essentially they could use the rest of their lives. The programming offers people a window to the world. We try to give students direct access to as many filmmakers as possible, since of course networking is at the heart of the motion picture business. Here you can even see one of the students soliciting an autograph from Daniel Kwan, sign his Blu-ray copy of Swiss Army Man at the conclusion of our screening. While all of our programming has an emphasis on supporting youth in film, as Jane mentioned, probably our flagship program in this area is the Sonoma County Student Film Festival, which is co-sponsored by Petaluma Student Affairs. This brings together students from throughout Sonoma County. This is all of the area high schools, as well as Sonoma State University, for them to showcase essentially the best student work that's made over this 12-month window. We ran about 22 films this past April, ranging from 1 to 12 minutes long. The screenings are followed by a Q&A, where the students have an opportunity to engage with each other and the public audience. Here you can see Louis Poor, who is one of our students you're going to meet in just a moment, with his son, the star of his film Lift, that you're also going to have the pleasure of viewing in a couple of minutes. Student Affairs does a great job emphasizing the community building aspect of this event as well. It's preceded by an hour-long reception where the students can mix with each other and the people who come to see their work at the festival, even with a sort of red carpet style photo booth. Here you'll see Miles Levin, who you're also going to meet in a minute, with his cast and crew of the film he made last year, The Superhero Hotline. The top films from the Student Film Festival are then advanced on to the City Film Festival, which is our once-a-year venture out of the beautiful Carol L. Ellis Auditorium into downtown Petaluma. There we host on the first weekend of May Film Fest Petaluma, which is a showcase of the best short films on the global festival circuit. Over the course of a year, my staff and I scour through more than 1,000 films to select about 35 films or so that are showcased on 4 different programs. Each of those programs features student filmmakers alongside international artists who come to Petaluma to talk to audiences about their work. Here in one of the panels from last year, you see 2 student filmmakers closest to me, Ian Powell and Devin Lair, sharing the stage with our international guest. On the far side of the panel is Gabriel Osorio and Antonia Herrera. They were last year's Oscar winners for Best Animated Short Film. Not only is this a great annual cultural event for the city of Petaluma, but we really try to leverage the presence of all these tremendous international artists and capitalize on them being in town to engage directly with students in informal and formal ways on our campus. Here you can see in the next slide, Gabriel giving a presentation on his own journey from being a Chilean student to an Oscar winner at the Academy Awards last year. Particularly inspirational talk attended by not only the film students, but a lot of students in our ESL program as well as our Spanish language program. This presentation took place on the Santa Rosa campus to a packed house in the Bertolini Student Center. On this slide, you'll see Antonia and Gabriel, after their presentation, attended a workshop with our advanced animation students. This is in the AbTech lab, where they really spent nearly 2 hours walking around the room and mentoring student projects, talking to them about their work and how they might improve it and network within the business. Here, feature director Justin Lerner is doing a workshop in the Doyle Library with aspiring screenwriting students. And in this next slide, Guillaume Foresti, the Parisian director standing in the back, is overseeing students working on an editing project in Petaluma's Digital Media Lab. Probably the most ambitious of our projects with guest filmmakers is our 48-hour film project. Every year we ask one artist to spend a few days in residence on the campus. This year that was Ryan Baxter, who you saw earlier, who came for a Wednesday night cinema series project and then stayed for 2 days to essentially mentor a student production that's competitive. Students submit scripts. We had about 40 scripts this year. One of them is selected, and under the mentorship of our guest filmmaker, that student's work is essentially developed and produced over the course of a 48-hour window. So they had a casting session on Thursday, a pre-production planning session, and then ran principal photography on the Petaluma campus on Friday. They edited all night. This is in my own kitchen, the night before the film festival, getting ready. So Eli, who was the writer and director, could sit on stage at the film festival with our international guests and present the short film that they made. This is just a small taste of what we're doing in the Film Alliance. I hope you come and visit one of our programs next year. I'm thrilled to death that you're going to have the opportunity to meet 2 members of our student film community. And with that, I look forward to seeing you at the movies. So thanks. Cheers.
We couldn't get him hired fast enough. All right, so it's my most sincere pleasure this morning to introduce to you Louis Poor and Miles Levin, students of SRJC Petaluma Communications faculty Brian Antonson and Mike Traina. Louis and Miles competed this year in the 9th annual Sonoma County Student Film Fest at the SRJC Petaluma campus And this year's festival featured 22 short films, all made by aspiring local filmmakers, including high school students and retirees. The films took a variety of forms, from comedy to horror and everything in between. And though each film was magnificent in its own way, 5 films were awarded Best of Show. Each was showcased at the Film Fest, as Mike indicated. These 2 filmmakers were among those chosen for that award, and I'm delighted this morning to have you meet them, and as an extra bonus, see a screening of each of their short films. So we'll run each of their films back to back. A brief bio of Louis and Miles is included in your program, but the best telling of who they are is in their own voice and through their films. We'll start with Louis and then conclude with Miles. Please feel free to applaud after each speaker. So let's go ahead and show the films.
He thinks he can fly.
It's just a fantasy.
I understand, and it's completely normal for his imagination to run, but now other boys are trying to fly too.
I understand your concern, but it's just a phase.
Rules of the game: force fields and unlimited ammo.
No force fields.
Machine guns. Okay.
Okay, let's go. Just go.
Grenade.
I need some ammo. Hey, Clyde! You can't do that! I got you! No, you didn't! You hit the tree! No, I killed you! You always do this! Oh, fine! Help, I'm dead! Carry on the mission. Tell my wife and children I love them.
No. You're alive.
Yeah, I'm alive! Can't do that! Guys.
Max, you killed Clyde. You're gonna die for this. Max, when I find you, I'm gonna kill you. Traitors, you murderers.
Do you want to keep playing?
I don't have enough good things to say about the media program here at the JC, the film program led by Mike and Brian. I was in both of their classes this semester. Brian working with a bunch of other production students and meeting people. I have a small content company. We work with clients throughout Sonoma County, and for me, my agenda was hopefully meeting people that I could hire to join crews when we go out and shoot branded content, short commercials, things like that. And what I ended up finding was that I really like telling personal stories. My story can't get more personal. It's my kids, my wife. My wife did the score. But I got to work with classmates and see that passion for storytelling in other people and connect and make friendships and relationships that are going to span professional and personal. So for me, that was a huge takeaway in the production program. And in Mike's class, I had to explain to my children every Wednesday evening when I was leaving the house that I had to go to class. And my son at one point found the schedule for the cinema series and saw that I was going to see Deadpool. And I had to sit him down and explain that this was a very thoughtful, intellectual dissection of film technique and theory, not a movie. So, yeah, I think that the community, as everyone's kind of been talking about this morning, that's really the biggest takeaway. I've met a lot of people who are working professionals who are looking for professional development, who are younger students that are passionate about film and wanting to make a life in it. And I think that that community has so many layers and so much depth, and it just keeps growing. So it's really exciting to be a part of. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Miles. I've been a part of the JC film community for a good 3 or 4 years now. And if I were allowed to take Brian's classes again, I would, and I TA'd for him for a semester in part so that I could do that. And it's really quite something to watch the growth of students over the course of a single or maybe 2 classes from these professors. I have peers that have gone on to go to film school at various universities, 4-year schools, and they come back saying, I learned more at SRJC in the media program here. Frequently you'll see young people who, with no experience in media whatsoever, take a single class like Media 20, Introduction to Digital Filmmaking. And upon completion of the class, they'll go out and complete their first video jobs for pay. And I don't know any other fields where something like that occurs quite that quickly, where a student can take an introductory course that's so comprehensive that they can go out with confidence and make money using those skills as soon as the course is over. The community here is really quite extraordinary as well. 20 or 30 years ago, or even sooner, these projects like these, it's just not possible for a young person to go out and do this for fun. And frequently on the Facebook groups with all the students who stick together coming out of these classes, they'll say, hey, I need this piece of equipment. I can't possibly afford it. Does anyone have it? And then the person who has it, that can't possibly afford to insure it, will say, sure, how long do you need it for? And people say, do I owe you anything? Do I need to pay you? No, just keep me in mind next time you need help. And it's that kind of camaraderie and support that allows us to learn to become filmmakers right here in our own hometown, in our own backyard. And I've been very, very fortunate to be a part of this. Now I'm doing commercial video projects, and I'm competing in film festivals throughout the year, internationally where I can, with my film projects, thanks to what I've done here in these courses. And Mike wanted me to mention that by way of having one of my projects featured in the Petaluma, the Film Fest Petaluma, an Australian filmmaker, master claymaker, is collaborating with me on a project now, and we're staying in touch throughout the year, and it's been a whole lot of fun. Hopefully we'll get to see that together at some point. But thank you so much for being here, and your support for this program really means a lot, because it does make a huge difference in the lives of more students than you know. So thank you.
Thank you, Louie. Thank you, Miles. Thank you, Mike. We're tremendously proud of the work that you do, and I think that all of you will agree that these two gentlemen have a bright future in the industry, so thank you so much. Our program's nearly completed, which means that we're almost ready to send you off into your day, but before I do that, I'd like to ask one more person to come up on stage, and it's my pleasure this morning to introduce Petaluma City Councilman and member of the Friends of Petaluma Campus Trust, Gabe Kearney. Gabe, where are you? There you are.
Good morning, everyone. As some of you have heard me speak before, know it's best to give me a timeline and a strict script to stick to. Otherwise, I kind of tend to go rogue and say whatever I want. One of the things that you may or may not know about me is I did attend the St. Rosa Junior College after graduating from Casa Grande High School back in 1999, which sounds like it was just yesterday, but it was almost 20 years ago now. As all my friends were getting ready to go off to college and go off to Cal Poly and UCSB and all the other places they went, and I was coming to the junior college, and I was kind of down and out on that idea that I was staying here and not going away to college. I got a phone call from Renee Lopalato, who at the time was the associate dean, I believe, for the Petaluma campus, working under Doug Garrison. And she called me up and was given my name from I don't know who, but she was told, this is someone you should reach out to get involved in student government. And so she told me about this opportunity to be involved in student government and be the vice president of the Petaluma campus for the associated students. And, oh, by the way, you start next month, and you're going to start Leadership Petaluma at the same time. So at the age of 17, I was starting at the junior college, and I see Edie Cheetah sitting at the exchange bank table, and she was one of the classmates of mine in that leadership class back in what we finished in 2000. But at 17, I started at the junior college taking courses, and then also started in Leadership Petaluma, and got to learn a lot with Edie and other members of the community. And thanks to Onita and the staff back then putting that together. Although I was the only member of the class that didn't get to go out to Volpe's after. At the end of the day, everyone would go out to the bar and I would go home. So it was through that experience that I was able to get more involved in politics and ran for my first city council campaign at the age of 18. And as I often like to say, I didn't come in last, which was great. I beat Wayne Veeler, who owned Kodiak Jackson. So I thought, if you can beat the guy that owns one of the most popular bars in town, I think that's winning, right? So as we've heard throughout the morning from all the different speakers, there's been a theme of film. And one of the key parts to making a film is money, right? Ollie, if you don't have the money and the producers and the donors and backers, you can't do anything. So what I'm asking you today is to be the Lucas Oil for the Petaluma campus. And I didn't even notice that there's someone with a Lucas Oil shirt right in the front row too, so that helps. a lot of the programs and things that we do here at the Petaluma campus are thanks to the foundation, and the money raised by the foundation allows us to provide opportunities for students throughout the campus, be it donating money to pay for calculators, right? Jane, one of the programs we have is a calculator loan program for students that are taking math classes. Some of those calculators cost $150, and for a student who's struggling to register, attend classes, possibly pay for childcare to be in class, but then on top of it, you have to throw in a $300 book and another $150 for a calculator. It's nearly impossible and can weigh them down. And so it's through the work of the foundation that we're able to provide those calculators for students and allow that access for those students. Sometimes an equal playing field means that some need a little bit more to rise to the occasion, and that's what the foundation here on the Petaluma campus allows for our students every year. So on everyone's tables, you have white envelopes. Everyone can go ahead and reach for those envelopes, and you'll see you can write a check, or you can make a donation with credit cards. And I believe that we have staff on the way out to help you with that. We did bring you here because it's a fundraising breakfast, and we aren't able to do the things that we do and provide the support and sponsorship to programs like Mike Traina's without the money that we raise through the foundation. Our goal today is to raise $20,000. I know myself, I'm going to commit to raising $1,000 or donating $1,000 to the foundation, and I ask that other members of the community do so as well today. I know my good friend Mike Reagan in the back of the room is committed to donating $500, and my colleague Rebecca Selly has also done the same. So I ask you to think about what it is that you feel comfortable in donating and do so today. I'll leave you with one or two examples of students from the junior college. One is Maria. Maria is an excellent student, a first-generation college student and single mom from Petaluma. She has worked hard to achieve a 3.5 GPA while also working to provide for her two young children. She receives financial aid and scholarships that cover her tuition, but she has shared that the cost of transportation and childcare may keep her from enrolling in the fall to complete her program. So it's students like Maria that we're really here for, and what we're trying to raise the money for, and the work of the foundation goes to help students like her. I don't know how many of you, we just had graduations here in Petaluma, right? And Mr. Badley and all the other members of the board of trustees for this school district were in their gowns and handing out the diplomas. But many of you in the room have gone and done the college tours with your kids, right? How many of us have done that? I took my nephew on college tours this spring, and never before did I feel as old as I did on that trip, because I never thought I was old enough to have a 17-year-old, but for a week everyone thought that he was mine, and it really made me feel a lot older than I am. And I won't say which council member, but one of the council members' wives said, "Well, Gabe, you are old enough to have a 17-year-old. Wake up." So anyway, one of those trips we took was to Pacific University, and you walk around that campus, and for $60,000 a year you get room and board, but you don't get the education you get at the Santa Rosa Junior College. And I think it's very evident in what's been presented here today and what's been presented at this breakfast over the past couple years is that we provide a quality education here for a small fraction of the cost, and we're only able to do it because of the community support that we have in Petaluma and throughout Sonoma County. So please, if you can, make a generous donation today. Help us reach that goal of $20,000. And again, thank you for your attending.
All right, thank you, Gabe, for your service to the Friends and this community and for your support of SRJC Petaluma. No event of this magnitude happens without a village of helping hands, unselfishly taking on tasks large and small, and all of you know who you are and what you did, and why I'm so grateful to have you in my corner. I'm deeply appreciative to today's silver sponsors, Clover Sonoma, Exchange Bank, Lace House Linen, Mahoney Davison Property Management, Pacific Union Christie's International Real Estate, Pure Luxury Transportation, and Torkelson Associates LLP Certified Public Accountants for stepping up and giving us just a bit more this year. And I want to thank all of our loyal table sponsors for bringing our community to this event. You are the best community this VP has ever served. Before we leave, I do want, Allie is going to come back up on stage for just a minute here, and I'm going to turn it over to him.
All right. I forgot something. Guys, ladies, gentlemen, I'm a deal maker. I'll make a deal right now. I need your help for 15 seconds, and I'll donate $5,000 personally. Can I have your help for 15 seconds? Okay. I want you guys, I'm going to take a little selfie here, selfie video. When I say 1, 2, 3, you guys just say, thanks, Kevin. So I'm going to send it to Kevin Sujihara, the head of Warner Brothers, a big, whatever you want to say. Hi, Kevin, thank you. Just say Kevin, whatever. And for that, I'll get 25% of your $20,000 budget. Let's do it. Brian, can you go over there too? I need a B camera. I'm a film guy.
A B camera.
A camera, B camera. Go over there. There you go. There you go, film guys.
There we go.
All right. All right, Mr. Sujihara, we're here at the Building Community Breakfast here in Petaluma, California. We've got a couple of my friends that want to say hi to you.
Hey, Kevin! Hey, Kevin!
Thank you.
Okay, we didn't plan on that. So, before you leave, June 16th is Allie's birthday, and so we're giving away our centerpieces for those of you at the table that have a birthday closest to Allie's on June 16th. Feel free to take the centerpiece with you. Also, at the conclusion, we've asked Allie to take center stage in order to take some photos with folks and others, and so we would welcome any of you to come up and do another selfie with Kevin or with Allie. I want to ask you on your way out to please stop by the Friends of Petaluma Campus Trust registration table if you're so inclined. We do have credit card payments that are possible there. I do hope you're inclined to whatever you might be able to give to support us this year. Also, as we've done in the past, if for those of you like a good takeaway or some swag, we have a table of assorted branded items that you should feel free to take with you as a remembrance of today's event. And to stay in the spirit of breakfast and a movie, we've arranged for some popcorn samples courtesy of Comet Corn Organic Popcorn. Feel free to help yourselves to that. If you have time and are interested and it's not raining, anyone who's interested, we certainly would tour you on the campus to take a look at anything that you'd like to see. Lastly, this is your community's college, and it's been my honor to have you here today as our guests. Thank you for all you do to support this great community, this great college, and this great campus. Please drive safely and have an enjoyable rest of your day. Thank you.